Imagine a world you wouldn't recognize. A world of fire and fury, long before the first footprints, before the first trees reached for the sky. This was our Earth over 4 billion years ago. A planet still cooling from its violent birth, a canvas of molten rock under a sky thick with volcanic ash and gases. But even in this chaos, a miracle was about to unfold. The stage was being set for the greatest story ever told, the story of life, and it all began with water. The atmosphere was heavy, saturated with water vapor spewed out by countless volcanoes. As the young planet slowly began to cool, a tipping point was reached. This vapor condensed, forming thick, dark clouds that shrouded the entire globe. Then, the rains came. Not a gentle shower, but a relentless planet-wide deluge that lasted for millions of years. Imagine a storm of unimaginable scale, with torrential rain hammering down upon the barren, cratered landscape. This cosmic downpour filled the vast basins and craters, slowly, relentlessly, giving birth to the world's first oceans. These weren't the blue, placid seas we know today. They were hot, acidic, and choked with dissolved minerals from the fresh rock they covered, a primordial soup swirling under stormy alien skies. Deep beneath these turbulent waves, in the crushing blackness of the abyss, another incredible process was underway. The ocean floor, still geologically active, was riddled with cracks and fissures. Here, seawater seeped down, coming into contact with the searing heat of the Earth's mantle. This superheated, mineral-rich water was then forced back up, erupting from the seafloor through structures we call hydrothermal vents. Picture underwater chimneys, billowing clouds of black and white smoke. These weren't just geological curiosities, they were chemical factories. They created a unique environment, a gradient of temperature and chemicals, brimming with the very elements needed for life: hydrogen, methane, ammonia, and sulfides. In the deep, dark quiet of the ocean floor, these glowing vents were like oases of energy, potential cradles for the first living organisms. For millions of years, this primordial soup stewed. The oceans were a massive chemical experiment, constantly stirred by convection and bombarded by intense ultraviolet radiation from a young, fierce sun, unfiltered by an ozone layer. Lightning continuously cracked across the sky, zapping the atmosphere and the sea, providing jolts of energy. In this chaotic, energy-rich environment, simple inorganic molecules began to combine, forming more complex organic molecules. Amino acids, the building blocks of proteins. Nucleotides, the components of DNA and RNA. These weren't life yet, but they were the essential ingredients, accumulating in the water, clinging to clay particles, and concentrating around those life-giving hydrothermal vents. The Earth was preparing the recipe. Then, somewhere in that warm, shallow water, or perhaps deep within the labyrinth of a hydrothermal vent, the impossible happened. A collection of these organic molecules, perhaps enclosed within a simple membrane of fatty acids, a tiny bubble, developed a remarkable new ability. It learned to make copies of itself. This was the dawn of replication, the fundamental spark of life. The first self-replicating molecule, likely a form of RNA, was the ancestor of all life on Earth. These first microscopic entities, protocells, were incredibly simple, barely more than chemical reactions wrapped in a bubble. But they were the first step on an evolutionary journey that would eventually lead to you and me. As these early life forms evolved, a game-changing innovation appeared: photosynthesis. A group of bacteria, known as cyanobacteria, developed the incredible ability to use sunlight for energy. You can picture them as shimmering green mats in the shallow, sunlit waters. They took in carbon dioxide and water and, using the sun's energy, released a waste product: oxygen. At first, this oxygen was absorbed by dissolved iron in the oceans, causing it to literally rust and fall to the seafloor, forming the vast iron ore deposits we mine today. But the cyanobacteria were relentless. For over 1 billion years, they pumped oxygen into the environment. Slowly, painstakingly, they transformed the entire planet. This event, the Great Oxidation Event, was perhaps the most significant transformation our planet has ever undergone. For the early anaerobic life that had thrived in an oxygen-free world, it was a catastrophe. Oxygen was toxic, a poison that wiped out countless species. But for life as we know it, it was a profound opportunity. The oxygen began to fill the atmosphere, creating the air we breathe. High in the sky, it formed the ozone layer, a protective shield that blocked the sun's harmful ultraviolet radiation. This made the surface of the planet, both land and sea, a much safer place to live. The stage was now set for more complex life to evolve, to experiment, to diversify in ways that were previously impossible. The journey from a single, self-replicating molecule to the vast web of life we see today is a story of immense time and countless small steps. After the rise of oxygen, the next great leap was the emergence of eukaryotic cells, cells with a complex internal structure, including a nucleus to house their DNA. This evolutionary innovation, which may have happened when one simple cell engulfed another in a symbiotic relationship, paved the way for multicellular life. From simple colonies of cells, true multicellular organisms, sponges, jellyfish, and strange frond-like creatures, began to populate the ocean floor. The seas were no longer just a microbial soup. They were becoming a garden, teeming with new and wonderful forms. This explosion of diversity continued, leading to the Cambrian explosion around 540 million years ago, when almost all major animal body plans we see today appeared in a relatively short geological timeframe. The oceans, once barren and hostile, were now teeming with life of all shapes and sizes, from the first vertebrates to bizarre arthropods. The primordial oceans born from a planetary storm had become the womb of life, nurturing it from a single spark into a dazzling array of complexity. Every creature in the sea, every plant on land, every bird in the sky, and even us, we all carry a memory of that primordial water in our cells. We are all descendants of those first tiny organisms that flickered into existence in the ancient seas. And so, the story that began with a rain of fire and a global storm led to a planet painted blue and green. It's a humbling reminder that from the most chaotic beginnings, the most intricate and beautiful order can emerge. The history of our world is written in its oceans, a story of transformation, of resilience, and of the incredible, tenacious power of life. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back to the dawn of our world. If you found this as fascinating as I do, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more explorations into our amazing universe. See you next time.